Documents, documents, documents. I know this video is going to make a lot of loony leftists cry, but Trump did not commit a crime. You've been trying for 6 years, you're pitiful. FBI agents took 11 sets of classified records from former president during a search on August 8, court records revealed. In a post on Truth Social, his social media platform, Trump later claimed that the documents were all declassified. Kash Patel, who served as chief of staff for the acting defense secretary during the Trump administration, also claimed that Trump had declassified the documents. Yes, the president can declassify documents while in office, but there isn't a set protocol they have to follow. The U.S. classification system has 3 levels: top secret, secret, and confidential. That is based on the level of its release would cause to the national security of the United States, Cal McClanahan, executive director of the National Security Counselors, said. When you classify a document, that means that only people with a security clearance equal to the classification or higher can read it. A sitting U.S. president has wide-ranging authority to classify and declassify certain documents, but former presidents do not have authority over classification and declassification. Current presidents can classify documents as long as they can make a plausible argument that it is related to national security. On the other hand, the president doesn't have to give any reason for declassifying information, according to McClanahan. He can just say, "I decide that this should be declassified, and it's declassified," McClanahan said. A 2009 executive order directs the head of a government agency that originally deemed information classified to oversee its declassification and set some rules for that process. But those protocols outlined in the executive order don't apply to the president, McClanahan said. However, presidents generally follow an informal protocol when declassifying documents, Richard Immerman, a historian professor at Temple University, said. First, the president will consult all departments and agencies that have an interest in a classified document. Those departments or agencies then provide their assessment as to whether the document should stay classified for national security reasons. If there is a debate, but the president ultimately makes the decision on declassification, Immerman explained. When documents are declassified, they are reviewed line by line. In many cases, certain words, sentences and paragraphs remain redacted, even if the document is declassified, Immerman said. The Supreme Court determined in its 1988 decision on Department of the Navy v. Egan that the President's power over classified information comes from executive authority granted by Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which says, in part, that the President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States. His authority to classify and control access to information bearing on national security and to determine whether an individual is sufficiently trustworthy to occupy a position in the executive branch that will give that person access to such information flows primarily from this constitutional investment of power in the president, and exists quite apart from any explicit congressional grant, the Supreme Court decision reads. Though there aren't specific protocols that the president must follow to declassify a document, federal courts have ruled that they will refuse to recognize what they consider to be an inference of declassification, McClanahan said. The U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals wrote in a 2020 decision about whether statements made by then-President Trump declassified the existence of a CIA program that declassification, even by the president, must follow established procedures. Document is declassified, that doesn't automatically mean it can be shared widely either. For example, nuclear information, which is generally classified, is also protected by the Federal Atomic Energy Act of 1954, McClanahan explained. The Washington Post reported the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago for nuclear documents, among other classified information. Because nuclear information has this dual protection, even if you declassify a nuclear document, you cannot disseminate it because it's still what's called restricted data, McClanahan said. So to the extent that he information in there, declassification would not help him in the slightest, because he would still be disseminating restricted data or moving restricted data, he added. There are other federal laws in place that bar a president from taking government records, whether they are classified or declassified. Still, breaking those laws, or most other laws, doesn't automatically disqualify someone from becoming president, because of the simple presidential qualifications that are outlined in the U.S. Constitution. Everyone continues to try to stretch to keep him out of the White House. Nowhere does it say he had nuclear information, nor did he disseminate any, unlike crackhead Biden, who magically, somehow got his hands on classified information on Russia. I wonder where he could have gotten that, I quietly ponder to myself. I do for a fact know that crackhead Biden does not have security clearance, and that Sniffy Joe did not have the authority to declassify without the president's explicit permission. So, you loony leftists want to keep going with this one. You've been trying for 6 years, and coming out looking corrupt and stupid every time. A crackhead Biden email sent to an American aluminum company and promising information on Russian oligarchs is raising fresh concerns about the first son's access to classified documents recently discovered in his father's Wilmington, Delaware home as lawmakers prepare to investigate allegations of influence peddling. Documents dating back to 2011 on his notorious laptop. Crackhead Biden offered to sell intelligence on Russian oligarchs to the U.S. aluminum firm Alcoa Incorporated for $55,000, according to the Post's exclusive October 2021 report. As his father served as former President Barack Obama's second-in-command, crackhead Biden offered to provide a statistical analysis of political and corporate risks, elite networks associated with Oleg Deripaska, the Russian CEO of Basic Element Company and United Company Rusal, which had just signed a metal supply agreement with Alcoa. Crackhead Biden also offered the company a list of elites of similar rank in Russia, map of Paska's networks based on frequency of interaction with selected elites and countries. The deeply detailed proposal has come under sharp scrutiny given recent revelations that crackhead Biden had access to the Delaware lakefront home where secret papers from his father's time as vice president were discovered in a garage, basement and library, combined with Republicans taking control of the House of Representatives. Representative Jim Banks, Republican Indiana, a high-profile former chairman of the conservative Republican Study Committee, told the Post that the Alcoa solicitation fits within a broader picture. The Biden family is the most corrupt family in the history of American politics, he said. The biggest question facing Republican investigators: where to begin? Banks is not alone. Others, such as Senator Ron Johnson, Republican Wisconsin, have raised suspicions that crackhead Biden, 50-square-foot mansion as his home, may have used the classified documents in business dealings. Johnson said in April 12, 2014 crackhead Biden email to his business partner about Ukraine from 2014 looked suspiciously like it could have come from classified information. It reads like one of those scene setters, highly detailed information in terms of Ukraine, Johnson said. Crackhead Biden has access to the Wilmington mansion where classified documents were found in several locations. The email from crackhead Biden to Devon Archer included a 22-point memo he described as thoughts after doing some research. Included prescient predictions that Petro Poroshenko would be elected Ukraine's president and some sort of decentralization will likely occur in the East. Square-foot mansion as his home may have used the classified documents in business dealings. If it doesn't, the Russians will continue to escalate their destabilization campaign, which could lead to a full-scale takeover of the eastern region, most critically Donetsk, crackhead Biden wrote. The strategic value is to create a land bridge for Russia to Crimea. In hearings to start next week, the House Oversight Committee will investigate crackhead Biden's alleged influence peddling, cashing in on ties to his then-Vice President father to rake in millions from foreign companies, its chairman, Representative James Comer, Republican Kentucky, commented. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer said the committee plans to reveal evidence about the Biden family making millions of dollars from adversaries. With suspicions that first son crackhead Biden had detailed insider info from his dad, some of it evidenced on emails found on his notorious laptop, alongside curious foreign business dealings and transactions, Comer is vowing to shine a light on the matters. "We have evidence that we'll continue to be transparent with as we start our hearings next week, where this family is taking in millions of dollars from our adversaries," he said. "And I think we need to determine what was that money for, and who supplied that money?" To kick off what is expected to be a long investigation, the committee will hear next former Twitter executives on the social media company's 2020 decision to block the New York Post's explosive story first exposing crackhead Biden's laptop and temporarily suspend its Twitter account. Why did the FBI? According to Elon Musk and the Twitter files, the FBI was implying to them that laptop was Russian. Derman said. "It's not, and what's concerning is the FBI had the laptop. Why were they doing that?" Comer said the committee must first start with the issue to dispel a lot of misconceptions about the laptop. The New York Post is fourth biggest newspaper in America. They're a credible news organization. "They've done extensive reporting on the hard drive," Comer said. "So we're gonna start with the hard drive, because there's a lot of evidence on the hard drive that would suggest that old Puddin' Brain knew very well what his family was involved in. There's emails from some of these people's tech emailing crackhead Biden saying, 'Thanks for setting up the meeting with your dad. This is why we're investigating. We want to make sure that our national security is not compromised,' he added. Comer said crackhead Biden's foreign business dealings are particularly suspicious given the secrecy behind the services he was providing to foreign agencies despite having little to no experience in consulting. Comer said the House Oversight Committee hearings will focus on information found on crackhead Biden's laptop and reported in the Post. "We'd like to know what that consulting was. I feel like if China or anyone pays you millions of dollars, they expect to get a return on that investment," Comer said. "If they would explain that, then think that a lot of these problems would subside a little bit, but all they do is just roll their eyes or the audacity of Republicans to ask these questions." The Oversight Committee has pressed Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to release more than 150 suspicious activity reports filed by banks regarding foreign transactions and wires to and from crackhead Biden, his businesses, and associates.